Okay, our next speaker, Jim Regan, President of Lighting Furniture.
So hello again. Can everybody hear me in the back? Yes? Okay, good. Good. So John on augmented reality and Mark on the Office of the Future, those are fantastic topics. And I must confess, I'm a little bit more attention deficit than that. I've got 3 or 4 that I want to cover here today. So what I want to do is, I do want to touch on some technology issues and how they're affecting our business. Then I want to go on to what it is like to follow a legend in the construction industry, as Mr. Ackerman was, and talk about that a little bit. And then I'd like to step back and actually piggyback on some great comments that John made about corporate culture and why that is so important, and particularly for you young people to think about for a while. So first, current trends. And before we launch into the next 25 years, maybe we should take a quick look back at maybe the last 100 years. So what we have here is a classic photo of a group of Whiting Turner managers. It's circa 1956, I guess. And I'm sure I could find very similar pictures from 1926 and 1946, and then jump up to 1976 and 96. And thankfully, the later groups would have a lot more diversity in them. But they would all have, all these pictures would have at least one thing in common. Does anybody want to venture a guess as to what that would be? Well, teamwork, that would be a good one. But what I'm looking for, flat drawings. Many of us thought it would be that way forever. But it is not. And it is changing in a big way. The building information model, as you've heard numerous times today, is dramatically changing the way we design and build projects. And not only that, but the model is actually causing other collateral changes in the business as well. And I'll go into that just a little bit. First, and maybe most obviously, the model has given us the ability to fully coordinate the architectural, structural, mechanical, electrical, plumbing elements in a detailed, real-life depiction of what the work is going to look like when it's done. The effect of this on the reduction of field changes and what we call requests for information, or RFIs, is staggering on the projects that have been modeled completely. Now, the model is also very useful, of course, for us builders, in laying out the project, in planning the logistics, like, for example, the crane swings, traffic flows, laydown areas, and such, and for demonstrating the same to customers. They are, of course, extremely helpful in allowing the customer and the user groups the opportunity to fly through or to walk through their facility. This is worth its weight in gold for us because, again, this avoids changes late in the project and saves tremendous time and money at that point. We also do this laser scanning, and I think you've learned a little bit about this, of existing conditions, and then we'll import these images into the models for pinpoint coordination of renovation projects. Now, because of the great accuracy of the models, there is tremendous opportunity for off-site prefabrication of major components of the project. This is an explosive trend in the industry today, even to the point where we're sometimes setting up what we call co-location facilities or manufacturing facilities, where we work in conjunction with our subcontractors to fabricate large modules in a warm, dry, well-lit environment. Most of the work being done at bench height and eliminating a tremendous amount of scaffolding and lifts on the project site. Meanwhile, back at the job site, this has caused a significant reduction in manpower on site, materials, and waste materials that are sometimes threatening to clog up our work areas. The model is a huge part of our future. And by the way, there are additional dimensions of the models that I'm sure you have learned about already to add information on cost, schedule, and even facilities management, which is now being called the sixth dimension of the model. Sustainability. As has been mentioned, every customer today is concerned with the sustainability aspects of their projects, both during construction and after. Whether or not they're interested in LEED certification at one level or another or not, there are always conversations about waste sorting and recycling, local purchasing, low emissions, low energy consumption, and specific systems going into projects such as green roofs, geothermal systems, solar arrays, gray water systems, and on and on. We recently had the opportunity to do our first net zero energy project in San Diego. And here you see a solar farm that we recently did in New Jersey. Integrated project delivery. The last significant trend that I'll mention today. Now, we only have a couple of projects under our belts, so we are in no way experts on this topic. As you might know, the IPD idea first gained momentum on the West Coast and only recently has started gaining traction here in the East. We were just recently awarded a $150 million healthcare pure IPD project. So you might want to ask me about a year from now how I like IPD.
It's a tripart.
That is a poly party. We will have multiple design assist subs inside the circle and several design consultants with the architect. I am actually quite optimistic about the system. As you can see here, the basic idea is that multiple parties are in a risk-reward pool together, so they succeed or fail together. Fundamentally, it's a great idea, and I'll give you my theory on IPD. And as we go into Q&A, I'll be curious to get my colleagues' thoughts on it as well. My theory is that if IPD takes off in the coming years, and I believe that it will, the organizations, and I'm talking about the architects, the consulting engineers, general contractors like ourselves, subcontractors, those organizations with strong partnering cultures will thrive, and those with reputations for being difficult or less than straightforward will struggle and possibly even fail because no one is going to want to partner with them in an IPD relationship. So integrated project delivery, look for it to strengthen very soon. Shifting gears now, I want to talk a little bit about the idea of following a legend in the industry. Willard Hackerman graduated from Johns Hopkins University in 1938, at the age of 19, by the way. Mr. Whiting, who had already, at that point, been in business for almost 30 years, saw in him a bright young engineer and hired him. Young Mr. Hackerman was very energetic and ambitious, and Mr. Whiting was very pleased and gave him more and greater responsibility in the ensuing years. By 1955, Mr. Whiting could clearly see where the future of Whiting Turner was, and he promoted Mr. Hackerman to president. Coincidentally, that was the year I was born. As crazy as it sounds, up until just 15 months ago, Mr. Hackerman was still coming into the office every day and was still the president and CEO of Whiting Turner. Then on February 10th of 2014, he died after a short 5-day stay in the hospital, and our world changed. No one really knew how to act without him. He had been with Whiting Turner for 75 years and had been president just short of 60. I'm the guy who's had the humbling privilege and responsibility of taking that job, the job that no one ever really wanted to see come available. See, we all secretly hoped that he would live forever, but of course he could not. So how has it been these last 14 months or so? Our people have been incredibly resilient and supportive. Our customers have been great. The business community has been great as well. I did have to strap on my seatbelt for the first couple of months, but I got through it fine. And now, if I had a friend who was about to go through the same experience, here's the advice that I might give him or her. First, do not even dream of trying to be him or act like him. You will fail miserably. Next, do not do anything to change the culture that he created and nurtured for a lifetime. Just support it and advance it in your own way. Next, remember the timeless lessons that he taught you and try to pass them on. Next, mentor others the way he mentored so many. And lastly, tell his stories often. Do not let them be lost to time. So, I guess it sounds like I haven't changed much of anything at Whiting Turner so far, but that's not exactly true. We are renovating our headquarters offices in Baltimore. Thank you, Mark. Mr. Hackerman thought it was just unnecessary to spruce the place up, but I'm thinking 1974 was a long time ago. In fact, in our new design, we are including a very nice legacy conference room. Not big, but a nice legacy conference room to honor Mr. Whiting and Mr. Hackerman, along with some of our other history of the last 106 years. Mr. Hackerman would not like the attention, but this is one time when I think I'm going to have to ignore his direction. So finally, with all of this talk about change, I thought I'd close with a few comments about something that most organizations would like to keep constant, and that's their corporate culture. When companies or institutions are new and fairly small, the culture is almost always set by one or more founders naturally. But over time, that culture is affected dramatically by what kinds of new people are brought on board, by the performance of the company in good times and in bad, and by how customers and partners are treated, and especially how employees are treated. Then, if the organization grows to multiple locations and regions, or in our case to a national size, it becomes quite a challenge to make sure that the values and work habits remain constant across the company. One of the blessings of having Mr. Hackerman leading Whiting Turner for so long is that we have literally generations of folks who were inoculated by the man himself. and proudly walk around exhibiting some of his fine characteristics. Moving forward, of course, it's critical that we talk about culture and demonstrate it every chance we get. It's also important to grow and promote people through the organization who are not only good at getting work and building work, but also at personifying the culture that we want Whiting-Turner to maintain. Now, I can assure you that any of my colleagues on the panel today could, without second thought, stand up and enumerate the qualities that they consider to be part and parcel of their corporate culture. All successful organizations can. In the case of Whiting-Turner, some of the elements that we consider critical are integrity and honesty, customer delight, hard work, diligence, and perseverance, entrepreneurial spirit, innovation and creativity in problem solving, encouraging new ideas, especially from young people. As I mentioned earlier, decentralized structure, empowering groups and project teams, minimizing bureaucracy, ownership, hiring young and promotion from within, longevity of service and mutual loyalty. Take good care of your people. Humility and low profile. Let your actions speak for you. Although I'm breaking that rule today because you talked me into standing up and talking about it. Philanthropy and impact in the communities in which we live and work. Now that certainly doesn't cover all of them, but those are some of the big ones. I wish I could say that we're perfect at all of those things every day, but we are not. But they are fundamentally what we try to ascribe to. It's what we try to inject our young people with from their very first day. And speaking of young people, which most all of you are, let me close with this, and then I guess we'll do our Q&A session.
Sure. So let's speak.
Oh, I'm sure. Sorry.
All right.
I know that you've been told that you'll have X number of different jobs in your career, and that may well be true. But I believe that young people today need and want to belong to an organization that has a culture that they can be comfortable with, that they can contribute to, and in which they can grow a career. So my advice to you is to look for a company or an organization or an institution that stands for something and is relevant. It doesn't matter whether it's your first job out of college or your fifth. Don't settle until you find it, and trust me, you will know when you do. Thank you.